It's 2023 and you're still undecided as to which way you should go when considering buying the Nikon D850. Do you go mirrorless or do you go DSLR? In this video, I'm going to be giving you 5 reasons why you should and shouldn't buy the Nikon D850 this year. The D850 is sturdy, built tough, and a little secret, I have never had to have this camera serviced or repaired in the many years I've owned it. It's still going as strong as the day I bought it, and I've put it through some pretty grueling conditions while traveling. Heat, snow, cyclonic wind, it just keeps on clicking. This Nikon D850 has kept its value since I bought it. Because of the D850's reputation for being one of the best DSLRs ever made, you can sell these cameras, if you really had to for whatever reason, for a good price second hand. The 45 megapixel sensor and dynamic range gives the most beautiful image quality. There is something so special about the images from the D850 that I've never been able to quite put my finger on. More often than not, out of the 3 Nikon full-frame cameras I own, I reach for the D850 when I want the best quality in terms of resolution, color, and dynamic range. I just know the D850 will deliver. You can pick up top quality Nikon F-mount lenses relatively cheap on the second-hand market. And there's a huge selection of lenses to choose from, including third-party lenses from the likes of Sigma and Tamron, covering all genres of photography, like portrait, astro, macro, landscape, wildlife, you name it. It's an awesome value for money 45 megapixel sensor camera. When you compare the D850 to Nikon's other latest 45 megapixel cameras currently on the market, like the Z7 II and Z9, even with all of those cameras on special like you see here, the D850 is substantially cheaper. Yet that 45 megapixel sensor gives you the ability to crop into your shots and still not lose too much resolution. Plus the fact you have that baseline ISO of 64 with the D850 comes in so handy for things like landscape photography, giving you less noise and shadows and more dynamic range. Remembering though, both the Z7 II and Z9 also have that same baseline ISO. Okay, now here's 5 reasons why you shouldn't buy the Nikon D850 this year. Don't look at me like that, I'm just trying to be fair. You can't shoot silently looking through the viewfinder like you can with a mirrorless camera. So for things like wildlife, unless you're photographing from far away, that's not the best thing to have. Oh, and equally so for weddings. And do you, Jonathan, take Diane to be your lord? You may now kiss the bride. Oh, for sake, will someone stop using that damn camera or else? With the introduction of the Z9 camera, saw Nikon kick it up a notch and come into the same playing field as its competing brands. However, as we all know, the Z9 is not a cheap camera, but that tech from the Z9 will start to trickle down into new mirrorless Nikon cameras that consumers can take advantage of in the coming years. As time goes on, Nikon will keep growing their Z lens lineup as they put more focus, pardon the pun, on developing more innovative lenses. And it's no secret the Z lenses that are being produced, especially the S-line range, are well made, sharp and silent for video shooters. And more often than not, they're lighter in weight than their F-mount counterparts. When you've been hiking with a heavy kit for a few hours, it can detract away from the enjoyment experience you got out into nature for in the first place. But a little point of interest here, the Z9 is heavier than the D850 by approximately 300 grams. Even though the video quality out of the D850 is very good, the video autofocus is just not there and you have to rely on manual focusing. So if you're wanting a camera that can do both stills and video equally as well, it may be best to look at other brands or later Nikon mirrorless models. And a side note to that, having an electronic viewfinder as opposed to an optical viewfinder like on the D850, you can switch between stills and video very easily without having to take your eye away from the viewfinder. I know it has its shortcomings, but let's be honest here. What camera doesn't? As a long-term user of this camera, I can say that I have never been disappointed by the image quality out of this Nikon D850. But if you were wanting a more future-proof camera with quieter shutter, faster frame rate, better autofocus with eye detect, and more video options, then maybe look at another brand. Or wait until the newer Nikon mirrorless cameras come out with the handed-down tech features from the Z9. Now I'd like to get your opinion, and please leave your comments below. Do you think it's worth buying or not buying the D850 in 2023? Perhaps you own a Nikon D850 and you're still waiting for Nikon to release a new, more budget-friendly mirrorless version camera with some of the tech features from the Z9. Let me know what you think. So yeah, it's 2023, and as you can see, the Nikon D850 is still sitting proudly by my side. Why? Because it's been one of the best cameras I've ever owned, and it has never let me down in any sort of photography I've tried to do with it. Thank you so much for watching, never stop creating, and I'll see you next time. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and... Right, I warned you. Come here, I'll stick that camera where the sun don't shine.